Hello, my name is Stella and I am going to show you how to set up your gradebook in Blackboard. I'm going to switch over to my desktop if you just hold tight for 1 second. Here we are. So I am in my DEV course for patient care and I just want to show you a couple of quick things. So you can see I'm already in my gradebook here, and in your gradebook I don't have students here, but you can see that there's their last name, their first name, their student ID, all of these things. You can see that there's quizzes, there's quiz 1, 2, 3, final exam, what have you. There's all types of assignments here. So to give them the weighted value for your gradebook, you want to click on Create Calculated Column, and you want to click Weighted Column. And I usually say total score, or let's do final score. Okay. Column name and grade center name, I like to give them the same name. There's no need to put a description here. It is going to be a percentage, and you're going to see the date that you created it. So all of these things here in this columns to select, these are the columns that are already created. So they should already be in your gradebook. And how these columns get put in is when you're building your course and you add in assignments. And I'll show you that in one moment. But you can see here that there are there's one quiz, there's 2 quiz, and 3 quizzes. All right, so all I did was click on them and click this little chevron over to the right to move them over. So let's say they're 10% each. And you can see as I'm putting my percentages in, it's totaling it here at the bottom, and obviously it has to be 100%. So let's do competencies, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And let's say the competencies are worth 10% each. So 10 divided by 4 is 2.5. So we're going to put that in there. And then HIPAA is worth 5%. And the group project is worth let's do 15%. So now we're up to 60%. And we have the assignments. We have 2 assignments, and they're worth 10%. And then we have the final exam, that's worth 20%. These percentages come from your syllabus. So that's where, I'm just pulling these numbers out of the sky right now just as an example, but you would need to look at your syllabus to see what the weights are. Now, if I screw up, I can always hit the X, and when I hit the X, it'll put it back over here in this bucket, so that if I need it again, I can just put it back over. Okay? You always want to hit calculating as a running total. And then I want to include this column in Grade Center Calculations. I also want to show the column to the students. And then I'm going to hit Submit. Okay, so I don't have students here, but as you grade things and put numbers in, what it'll do is it'll calculate the student's final score, so they know where they stand throughout the whole course. You can do the calculations or the weighted percents after you've already graded some things. You do it the same exact way, and then it'll calculate it for you. Now, if you want the students to submit, say you have a discussion board just introducing themselves, and it's coming up in your grade book, you don't You can put a grade in there, but unless you put it in the create calculated column for your weighted column, it's not going to count towards the grade. The only thing that's going to count towards the grade is what you put in this weighted column piece here. All right. Now, what I like to do is I like to go to Manage Column Organization. This stuff up here in this gray box, we can't move these. That's where everything is staying right there, okay? But down here, we can move whatever we want. So you can see that my final score, because I created this last, it's all the way at the bottom. But if I want to put it in the students' faces, I'm going to just click it and drag it up here to the top of the list, okay? And let's say I don't know what this total score is, so I'm going to put that down here at the bottom because I don't really care about that. All right, I have my quizzes here, I have my final exam. Maybe I want to move the HIPAA project, I want to put the group project. You can move these however you want. And then you just hit submit. And you can see in this information bar here, last name, first name, all that stuff that we can't move. But you can see that the final score is right there by their name, so they cannot miss what their score is. All right. If you want to, when you're finished your class and you want to print your grade book out for your your grade folder, you hit work offline, you hit download, hit submit, hit download, and it'll download as an Excel file. And you can come up here and we can get rid of the username, last access, those columns. We don't need those. So just hit delete, delete those columns. You can go in and get rid of this stuff just so it says final score. And this is just me being, I like to make it clean and easier to read. This stuff is not necessary for your printout for your grade books. And then you would just save that, okay? So if you are starting from scratch and you have nothing in your grade book, what you'll need to do is set up your Blackboard with your assignments. And you can see I put a couple of assignments in here. I'll show you how I uploaded those in case you need to know. Your assessments, assignment, assignment number 3, any directions to the student. You can include the due date. You can include a word count. And then you can put anything. I'll use my daughter's Pillow Pets picture just so you can see how you upload that. The due date. I usually make things due at midnight just for those late people. Any points possible, 100. If you have a rubric that you want to add, you can do that. Submission details, typically it's an individual submission. If you do have group, then you can set your groups up. I always do single attempt. If you want to check it for plagiarism, you can just click this. Grading options, I leave that alone. Display of grades, it's going to default to including into the Grade Center calculations. And it's going to show the students in their grades. You're going to make the assignment available. If you want to display it, say I just want it, I only want the students to be able to see it from the 24th at midnight to when it's due, the 28th at midnight, I can do that, and I'm just going to hit submit. All right, and you can see that's where that is there. All right, another good thing here is I use a Mac, so sometimes I can't open documents. So if I'm having the students submit assignments, I will tell them that it must be submitted as a docx, or a PDF file. Sometimes if students are using a Mac and I'm grading things on a PC, I can't open things because they submit it as an ODT file. So they need to convert it over to a docx or a PDF file so you can open it. Your quizzes. For patient care, just because I'm in that course, your Quizzes are already there, so you would just hit assessments, test. You would pick which test you're going to upload, hit submit. You can see that I have these directions here. I always like to open things in a new window, make it available to the students. If you're doing this as an online test at home, you want to make sure you click yes, because if you set all this stuff up and this is clicked on no, they're not going to be able to see it. So you have to click yes. I only allow one attempt. I like to force the completion. I like to set the timer. I have auto submit. I can change my minutes to whatever I want, 50, 60, whatever. I usually only have the exam due or open for, if I'm giving this online in class, then I only have it set for an hour before class starts. If I'm doing this, if it's an online course and the students can access it for a whole week, then you set the due dates for, or the availability for the whole week. You can set it for a password if you want, but you need to make sure you communicate that to the students. The due date is when the test is over, when they no longer have access to it. Oops. End of day. Do not allow the students to start the test if the due date is passed. You're going to include it in the test center grades. They can have the information after the submission. I like to present it one at a time, so they're focusing on each question one at a time. I don't like them to backtrack, because then they get caught up in going over and over the same questions, and sometimes they skip things. And then I also randomize questions, because if you're giving this in class and you have two people sitting next to each other, I don't want them attempting to cheat. Same thing as if it's an online class. We can assume that they are going to meet in groups and they're going to try to take the quiz together to get a higher score. So I like to randomize the questions to challenge them a little bit and maybe make them think. And then just click submit. And there you can see that that's created. Okay, so that was a quick introduction to the gradebook of Blackboard. I hope that it was helpful. If you have any questions, please email me at sbarber5, S-B as in boy, A-R, B as in boy, E-R, the number 5 at rcgc.edu, and I'd be happy to meet with you to go over this in person if this video either confused you or if I talk too fast or what have you. Take care. Thank you.